It's been a while since we've sat down and had a little chat about what's been going on with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, and it's safe to say a lot has happened since my last video. The last time we talked about It Ends With Us, there were only whispers and speculation of tension between Blake and Justin, but now that's been fully confirmed. Today, I want to quickly go over what's happened since my last video and just how far the situation has escalated. It's a mess, so let's get into it. This past summer, ahead of the release of It Ends With Us, rumors started circulating about a possible rift between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. They were actively avoiding each other, they weren't seen doing press together, and they had even stopped following each other on social media. There was a ton of speculation about what was causing the rift, from potential fat-shaming comments about Blake's weight, to Justin maybe being upset with Blake over how she was trying to take control of the movie alongside her husband Ryan Reynolds. There was endless speculation, but at that time, that's all it was. Although, the rumors started to prove true when it came out that Justin Baldoni had hired a crisis PR management team. Now, during this time, Blake was actually getting a ton of backlash for how she was choosing to promote the movie. Fans felt like she wasn't highlighting the DV element of the movie enough and was taking a more lighthearted approach in an effort to trick people who may not feel comfortable watching a heavy movie to go see it. Then there was also the fact that old interviews were coming out where Blake seemed less than pleasant to be around, and the poor timing of her releasing her hair care line alongside the film. Over the next few months, as the hype around the film died down, so did the speculation on Justin and Blake's falling out. But that all changed on December 21st when Blake Lively lodged a complaint against Justin Baldoni for sexual harassment. TMZ reported on the lawsuit, writing, "According to the lawsuit obtained by TMZ, things got so bad during filming, there was an all-hands-on-deck meeting to address what she claims was a hostile work environment. Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, was among the attendees." The lawsuit lists the demands that were addressed, she says, because of Baldoni's conduct. Among those demands were no more showing videos or images of women to Blake, no more mentioning of Baldoni's alleged previous addiction, no more discussions about conquest in front of Blake and others, no further mentions of cast and crew, no more inquiries about Blake's weight, and no further mention of Blake's dead father. So when this lawsuit was filed, immediately everyone online who was once Team Justin started to switch sides and become Team Blake. People felt like this was yet another example of a woman being unfairly dragged in the media before people really had the full story. Colleen Hoover was coming out in support of Blake, her old co-stars from previous movies were speaking out in support of her. There was a moment when things really weren't looking good for Justin, especially when the New York Times decided to get involved in all of this mess. Following Blake's lawsuit, the New York Times released an article titled, "We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Hollywood Smear Machine." And the description of the article says, "Private messages detail an alleged campaign to tarnish Blake Lively after she accused Justin Baldoni of misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us." So this article was pretty bad for Justin. It contained messages between Justin and his PR team, showing them in talks of how they could bury Blake and make sure the public essentially stays against her. One portion of the article reads, "Mr. Baldoni, Miss Nathan, and others on the team claimed in their text exchanges that Miss Lively was using her own public relations team to create bad press about Mr. Baldoni, but cited no evidence to support those claims. By mid-August, the team was reveling in the damage to Miss Lively's image, and they showed messages between Jennifer and Melissa, who were working for Justin, that show that they were maybe plotting against Blake Lively. The message says, "The narrative online is so freaking good, and fans are still sticking up for Justin, and there literally has been no pickup of those two articles, which is actually shocking to me. But I see this as a total success, as does Justin. You did such amazing work." And then Melissa said, "Narrative is crazy good. So did you. The majority of socials are so pro-Justin, and I don't even agree with half of them." They also showed other messages, which showed his publicist saying that Justin wants to feel like Blake could be buried, and the crisis PR team responding back that they could bury anyone. That whole cancellation that Hailey Bieber faced like 2 years ago now was also brought up, and it was used as an example as to what would need to happen to Blake. I have to say, it was looking pretty bad. So that's the quick little catch up to where we are today, but up until that point, things weren't looking good for Justin. The public opinion was starting to shift, and a lot of people felt like they had it all wrong. Justin was the problem, and Blake was being unfairly dragged through the mud. Justin ended up being dropped by his talent agency, his former publicist filed a lawsuit against him over breach of contract, and there was just so much public support for Blake from people in the industry. That all changed when Justin decided to file his own lawsuit. On January 1st, Justin filed a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times, claiming that it unfairly represented his side of things and relied on Blake's self-serving narrative. The attorney who filed the lawsuit on behalf of Justin spoke to Variety, and he said, "Attorney Brian Friedman, who filed the lawsuit on behalf of the plaintiffs, tells Variety that the Times cowered to the wants and whims of two powerful, untouchable Hollywood elites, disregarding journalistic practices and ethics once befitting of the revered publication by using doctored and manipulated texts and intentionally omitting texts which dispute their chosen PR narrative." And just taking a look through the complaint, there are endless text exchanges showing that the New York Times left out major context clues in the screenshots that they shared to, one could only assume, make Justin look bad. The Times had a disclaimer on their screenshots that they were edited down for time, but Justin and his legal team felt like they were edited to make Justin look bad. The lawsuit also brings up how the Times perpetuated Blake's claims of sexual harassment because of Justin coming into her trailer uninvited while she was undressed and breastfeeding, but what the article didn't include was the fact that Justin was invited into her trailer by Blake herself. The complaint includes a screenshot which shows Blake texted Justin and said, "I'm just pumping in my trailer if you want to work out our lines." And Justin said, "Copy, eating with the crew and we'll head that way." And Blake said, "Take your time." And Justin said, "I'm here, I'll meet you in hair and makeup." And this is a common theme throughout this entire complaint. Every single point that Blake brought up in her complaint and the New York Times article was either debunked with receipts or it was proven that major context was left out. For example, Justin's lawsuit against the Times reads, "The allegation that Baldoni inappropriately described Lively's character's attire as sexy is exaggerated and misleading. The text exchange between Baldoni and Lively show that Lively had insisted that her character's clothing be much sexier. When Baldoni later used the word sexy, he was just responding to her creative input, not objectifying her personally. Lively set the tone that Baldoni heeded during the creative process." And as you can see in the text right here, it has Blake saying, "We'll show you both ways, but Beanie is much sexier." And this is an 85-page complaint, so we could be here all day long, but I'm sure you guys get the point. Justin and his legal team were putting everything out there, and Justin's lawyer was very vocal about that. He was speaking to the press, he was going on YouTube channels like Megyn Kelly to talk about the lawsuit.
I tell you, you're going to have to wait and see. It's coming up soon. But it's all going to be based on evidence. It's not going to be just a lawsuit. It's going to be the kind of lawsuit that is full of evidence, admissions, documents, which prove exactly what she did and how she bullied her way through the process to take over the movie and used her PR people to try and destroy Justin.
He even said that he wanted to have a whole website where he would upload every receipt and document for people to see the truth for themselves. Which brings us to December 31st, when Blake Lively officially filed the lawsuit against Justin, his studio, and his PR team. Entertainment Weekly wrote, "Lively formally sues Baldoni, his studio, and his PR team." After going public with her complaint earlier in the month, Lively made things official by filing a lawsuit in New York federal court on Tuesday, December 31st, naming Baldoni, Wayfarer, and PR representatives Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel for subjecting her to further retaliation and attacks after she participated in the New York Times story. So now everyone was wondering what Justin was going to do. He already had the lawsuit against the New York Times, which was definitely helping his case in the court of public opinion. So everyone who had been keeping up and following all the updates was wondering what his next step was going to be. It took a few weeks, but on January 16th, Justin officially filed a lawsuit against Blake and Ryan Reynolds for $400 million. In the lawsuit, he claims that Blake and Ryan Reynolds pretty much took over his entire film and then tried to destroy his career in the media. It accuses them of civil extortion, defamation, false light invasion of privacy, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, intentional interference with contractual relations, intentional interference with prospective economic advantage, and negligent interference with prospective economic advantage. Now, there's a lot we could talk about from this filing, but one point that stands out the most, that's been the most talked about, just because of how delusional it is Blake referring to herself as a Game of Thrones character. In a message between Blake and Justin, Blake seems to use her connections with powerful people in Hollywood, like Taylor Swift for an example, to her advantage when it talks about how the movie should play out. In one message, she said, "If you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll appreciate that I'm Khaleesi, and like her, I happen to have a few dragons. For better or worse, but usually for better, because my dragons also protect those I fight for. So really, we all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine. You will too, I can promise you." So according to the lawsuit, Blake was saying this because she was making changes to the script that no one wanted but her, and Justin felt pressured into accepting those changes because of Blake's connections with powerful people in Hollywood like Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift. More and more information started to come out, like the fact that Blake apparently didn't even bother to read the book It Ends With Us, citing that she had reasons for not wanting to, which, I mean, I get. It is a hard read, but if you're accepting a movie role based on that book, why wouldn't you just read the book? If you knew going into it that even reading the book would be too much for you to handle, perhaps you should have rejected the role and let someone more dedicated to it have a chance. I think anyone who actually did read the book could tell that she never read it or understood just how serious the story was based on how she was handling the press around the book, talking about grabbing your girlfriends and wearing your florals to go see the movie.
Well, I just really love romance, and I love it as an audience member, and I love it in my real life, and I just really believe in romance. It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it. Grab your friends, wear your florals.
It's really starting to seem like there's an overwhelming amount of evidence in Justin's lawsuit against Blake that shows that there's always two sides to every story. Another issue that we got to see the other side of was Blake's claim of Justin trying to fat shame her. Forbes covered this section of the lawsuit, and they wrote, Lively claimed in her lawsuit that Baldoni repeatedly objectified her on set, including by finding back-channel ways of criticizing her body and weight. The example she cited was one in which Baldoni secretly called her fitness instructor without her knowledge or permission and implied that he wanted her to lose weight in 2 weeks, the lawsuit claims. It went on, Mr. Baldoni told the trainer that he had asked because he was concerned about having to pick up Miss Lively in a scene for the movie, but there was no such scene. In his own lawsuit, Baldoni said he did ask the trainer about Lively's weight, but only to ensure he could safely perform the lift without injury, citing bulging discs in his back. Baldoni's lawsuit claims that Lively later refused to perform the lift scene, even though it had already been rehearsed with a stunt double. Justin also claimed that Blake was creating such a hostile work environment that he was banished to the basement to celebrate his own movie premiere. The suit reads, they were confined to a makeshift holding area surrounded by a concession stand stock, with only fold-out tables and chairs arranged in a square. Surrounded by close friends, family, soda bottles, and a lot of love, the irony of being held in a basement on what was arguably one of the most important nights of Baldoni's career thus far was not lost on anyone. And as you guys can see, here's Justin and his team celebrating the premiere together in the basement while Blake was walking the red carpet for his own movie. Just crazy. Another point that Justin debunked in his lawsuit was about the silent slow dancing scene. Blake had claimed during the scene that Justin acted inappropriately with her. For context, there was going to be music playing over this part, so in an effort to not make things feel awkward or maybe even look awkward, they decided to talk normally to each other, to which Blake claimed that Justin overstepped and was saying things that weren't very appropriate. In her lawsuit against him, Lively claimed that Baldoni leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck as he said, "It smells so good." Justin claims that context was once again left out and posted the raw footage from the scene, which shows that he was only responding to Blake saying that she was going to get her self-tanner on him, to which he said, "It smells so good."
I got your beard on you today.
I'm probably getting spray tan on you.
It smells good.
Well, it's not that. It's my body makeup.
So what good would
All right, cut. I think we got plenty.
Yes.
So as you guys can see, completely different from the picture that Blake was trying to paint in her lawsuit. And it seems like as more and more receipts come out, more and more people are starting to side with Justin again. Justin is also keeping his word and continuing to release all correspondence he's had with Blake during the filming of It Ends With Us. Just last night, he released a voice note that he sent her at 2 a.m. where he actually apologized to Blake for being upset with her for wanting to change the rooftop scene.
Hey, Blake. It is 2 in the morning. Hopefully this does not wake you up. Whew. Wow. There's so much I want to say to you, and I hope that we can FaceTime or see each other in person soon and get to talk more. But I'm just going to send you a few thoughts, and hopefully it's not going to be more than a few minutes. I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank, and I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short, and you worked really hard on that, and the way you framed it, and how that made you feel. I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me. That takes a lot of trust and vulnerability, and I feel really grateful that you feel safe enough to tell me that that's how you feel and share that with me, and I'm really sorry.
And it's like, did Justin really need to apologize? At the end of the day, it's his movie. Blake was hired to act in the movie, not come in and take over and change whatever she wanted to change. It's now come out that Blake wants a gag order put in place, so Justin's lawyer stops talking, and that's probably because the more his lawyer says, the more people are on Justin's side, and the court of public opinion isn't favoring Blake. Right now, it's looking like the trial could be set for March of 2026, but I'm sure we're gonna see a lot more come out between now and then. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about everything down below, and I'll see you next time.